I have no idea why at this point Lucasfilm was even considering making an Indiana Jones 5 movie, but apparently it's already been filmed or mostly filmed, and they've been test screening it. It does not sound like things are going well, and here to talk to me about that is Aaron Sparrow. How you doing, Aaron?
Whether you like it or not, Wes, you're getting Indiana Jones 5. Nobody asked for it. Nobody wanted it. But damn it, here it comes.
Just thinking about Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and just what a bad film that was. It made no sense. I'm not surprised they're going back to the well one more time because I guess there is a little bit more money there to mine, I guess. But they've done so much damage to the property. Why not just reboot it altogether?
I don't know. I know why they're going back to the well. They're going back to the well because, that fedora will be perfect when it fits a woman. We already know what the agenda is. We already know what the handoff's going to be. The whole point is to move the franchise forward with the Force is female and the Whip is female and everything's female. That's what you're going to get. So that's really the point, is that Kathleen Kennedy is going to try to have her way. It seems, no matter how much the paying audience is going to reject it.
But these soft reboots don't seem to work anymore. Obviously, with The Force Awakens, it worked very well. They made a lot of money, but it kind of fell off after that. With Jurassic World, that certainly worked. But then when you get into like Ghostbuster and some of these other soft reboots, like an Independence Day Resurgence, people are kind of onto the scheme, realizing that the older stars are only there to bring in some audience and a little bit of nostalgia, as they basically tell the exact same story that they told before and hand the baton off to a new generation of very stale, very boring versions of the characters.
Yeah, absolutely. Force Awakens worked because everybody thought they were going to get Luke and Leia and Han back together on the screen, so people flocked out to see it. People were still excited that Star Wars was back, so, they overlooked a lot of the flaws. The flaws were very evident to me from the beginning. I was one of the people that came out going, well, that was just a rehash of the original Star Wars. But at the time, I didn't mind it so much because I was like, look, I get it. You just paid $4 billion for this property. You're going to, try to softball it across the plate. And the next movie should be where something really interesting happens. And then we all know how that turned out. So, the franchise has been damaged. They're going to do the same to Indiana Jones. I don't think Kingdom of the Crystal Skull killed the Indiana Jones franchise. I think it just left it on a sour note, but it's really easy to just ignore that and enjoy the first 3 films and forget that 4 exists. But 5 sounds like it's about to burn the whole thing to the ground.
Absolutely. As per World of Real, recent test screenings of Indiana Jones 5 have been described as disastrous. According to the report, Disney and Lucasfilm have tried several alternate endings, and those in attendance are said to have liked precisely none of them. The most concerning of all alleges that one of the finales finds Phoebe Waller-Bridges firmly established as the new face of the franchise. I'm shocked that's only one of the alternate endings that they are considering, because it feels like that is the end game with this movie. It's not to see Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones one last time. It's to firmly replace him with a female version of the character.
Yeah, no, that seems to be the agenda. And I think that the reason that it's only one of the endings is part of the reason that we've had a year delay, is I think that disastrously that news came out and a year ago, and people reacted to it. And so they put it on the shelf and they were like, hey, we need to do some reshoots. We need to have some other endings that we can test. And that's what happened. I'm sure that Kathleen Kennedy is hoping that her ending is the one that proves popular so that, she can actually get it out there, which is the whole point of making this film, it seems. But, it's not going to resonate with audiences. People are tired of this. They're tired of this bait and switch bull crap. They're just over it. And nobody trusts Lucasfilm anymore. Nobody trusts Star Wars. I keep hearing from people that Andor is the best Star Wars thing that Disney has produced, but nobody's watching it because the trust is there and they've killed interest. People are just indifferent to the franchises now. And, Indiana Jones 5 was always going to be an uphill battle because of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. But, with Kathleen Kennedy in charge of it, I don't think there's any chance of success. I mean, aside from the lightning in a bottle that was Force Awakens, because people were so hungry for more Star Wars at that time, what has she really accomplished? What has she been successful at in her tenure at Lucasfilm?
Maybe The Mandalorian, but that's about it. And that feels almost like a fluke at this point. We do know they're counting on Harrison Ford, obviously, for the nostalgia, the member berries to bring people in. Indiana Jones 5 is the last time he's donning the fedora and cracking the whip, while the pressure is on for James Mangold to deliver after replacing Steven Spielberg behind the camera, having suffered through a pandemic, a serious injury to its leading man, and the release date domino effect. Indy's last ride is already accustomed to behind-the-scenes troubles, but the latest batch of purported worries could be the most significant yet, talking about the test screenings that are not going well. Why do an Indiana Jones movie with Kathleen Kennedy overseeing it that you know is just going to destroy whatever chance it has of being successful?
Well, the fact that James Mangold made it all the way to the end of a film with Kathleen Kennedy tells me that, he's probably a yes man when it comes to her. Whatever she says, he's like, oh, yes, Kathy, because it seems like every director that she works with that has any kind of vision or any kind of will ends up getting fired because of, the creative differences. Yeah, the differences are the director's creative and Kathleen Kennedy is not.
Yeah, she's just churned through so many creators, so many directors at this point. Colin Trevorrow was supposed to be the original director of the third Star Wars film in the sequel trilogy, and he never even got to the script phase. He was working things out. He was excited to work with Luke, and then Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy just took an enormous dump on all of his work.
Yeah, they just killed it right out of the gate. And I don't have a lot of faith in Colin Trevorrow as a director, but he certainly couldn't have delivered anything worse than that Rise of Skywalker travesty that we all suffered through.
World of Real also mentions that Disney is in a panic over the negative reception to the earliest versions, and there's a growing sentiment among the top brass that Indiana Jones 5 might even be in danger of tanking at the box office. And I would say after seeing Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, it's going to take a lot of really good trailers and a lot of faith on people's behalves, which I don't think they have right now in Lucasfilm, to actually get them out there to watch this movie anyway. I don't think Harrison Ford, especially after the way he's been treated by Lucasfilm, is a big enough draw at this point to get people in the theater on his own.
No, I think that it's interesting to do another Indiana Jones because I don't think that people really want to see Indiana Jones as old and broken and, just kind of like on the last, the last vestiges of his career. I don't think that anybody wants to see Indy that way. It works for Ghostbusters because they're not action heroes. They're not adventurers. They're basically just schlubby exterminators.
Scientists.
Yeah, the schlubby scientists that act as exterminators. And so the older and fatter and schlubbier they are, the more funny it can be. But Indiana Jones, not a comedy, not meant to be played for laughs that way. So I don't think anybody really wanted this. As much as everybody loves Harrison Ford, you don't want to see him limping around the set. He's not cracking the whip anymore. He's in danger of cracking a hip.
Well, apparently something like that already happened. I think he broke his foot, in Star Wars, and then he hurt himself again trying to film the scenes for this latest Indiana Jones movie. Enough is enough. Let the guy just retire.
He hurts himself more on movie sets than he does when he crashes his plane. I mean, it's a dangerous environment for him now. And now he's going to be General Thunderbolt Ross in the MCU. Just as an aside, I know that I'm going off track here, but we've got Wakanda Forever coming out, which is blatantly merchandising the tragic death of Chadwick Boseman. They're gonna do that. They're gonna kill off the Black Panther in the movies, to honor him, but also they're gonna pump that out there as a marketing ploy. But William Hurt dies, so they're just like screw William Hurt, just bring in Harrison Ford to replace him. Nobody will notice. And so now we have another role where Harrison Ford will be able to go on talk shows and people will be like, oh, are you going to become the Red Hulk? And he's going to be like, I don't know what the hell that is. I just show up and I shoot the goddamn scene.
You know what's crazy, Aaron? It's only been 10 years since Disney acquired Lucasfilm. And I remember being so excited, so very excited to see Star Wars return and what they were going to do to it. Obviously, we are right in the middle of the creative, high point of the MCU at that point, where we were getting great origin stories, a lot of exciting adventures. And I did think at the time, wouldn't it be great if they could do their Disney magic like they've done with the MCU on an Indiana Jones? But at this point, I don't want them to do any of this stuff. I hope they forget about all of these characters and try to go out there and do something new and something different, because they are terrible at soft reboots and they keep destroying everything that was cool 20 and 30 years ago.
It's always the danger when you reboot anything, when you bring anything back. Obviously, when James Silvani and I brought Darkwing Duck back to comics, we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. We wanted it to just feel like a natural extension of the show that people had watched and the comics that they had read. We wanted it to continue on like a whole new season. So we stuck very, very close to the source material. There were some little tweaks and things that we did for storytelling and just because of interesting things like Tad Stone's kind of telling us his original vision for some of the villains and whatnot. But, everybody that read it pretty much told us that, this just feels like I'm watching the show again and I love it. And that's really all you have to do. People already love these things. They don't want you to reinvent the wheel. They're just saying, I loved that. Give me another like it. And so you don't have to deviate from the source material that much and to have it be successful. But everybody seems to want to make their creative mark on it. Like, you do like that G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra movie. You're going to do a G.I. Joe movie. All right, cool. Everybody knows what the characters from G.I. Joe look like. And then some costume designer comes in and goes, well, I'm going to put my stamp on it. And so none of the characters look like any of the characters. And you lose the thing that was appealing about the property. The thing that people love about the property is gone. And now you've just got the skin of it stuffed with something new. And people don't like that.
They can't do anything original. They can't do anything exciting. So they just keep taking stories that are 20 and 30 years old and just basically destroying them and putting them up on movies and expecting the same type of success they've had over the last 20 years. And I just don't see it happening anymore.
No, I actually saw an article the other day from one of the mainstream media sources where they called out Disney for being creatively bankrupt. And I thought, man, it's got to be really bad when the shill media is actually starting to say it. There's definitely something going on. There's definitely some kind of shift. Maybe we're actually getting some honest reporting out of people, which kind of blew my mind. But it really is a sad time because, Disney is a company that I've loved for a long time. Obviously, I've, done things with some of their properties and worked on some of the things that I love. You used to have creators who would come in and would have a great love for these things. And now you've actually got creators who loathe the properties that they're working on and want to change them into something else. And you need to move away from that. I think we saw an article recently where the guy that's the showrunner for X-Men 97 said, if you're going to work on this show, you better love the property. You better love the X-Men. You better love the 97 cartoon. You better be into all that because he worked on The Witcher and there were people in the writer's room that actively hated the property and wanted to turn it into something else. If Hollywood wants to succeed, they need to go back to hiring writers. Maybe they need to skip this new generation entirely, this generation of activists and that want to come in and put their own stamp on things. Maybe they need to go back to some of the older generation that they've passed over and have them come back and make some good product and train up new people to handle these properties, because right now it is just an absolute dearth of talented people.
Recently, Aaron and I talked about the reports behind the scenes, the rumors that Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm are absolutely petrified to make Star Wars films at this time. They've lost so much money. They've turned away so many of the fans. It feels like it's probably going to happen with Indiana Jones as well. Definitely check this one out. They can't do anything right at Lucasfilm. I'm not shocked. It doesn't sound like Indiana Jones is going well. Definitely check this one out. You don't see it here. There's a link in the video description.